That he's already stated that. Is that not that he said already he agrees?
Absolutely.
So what are you waiting for? See, just answer that question. What are you waiting for? If you can answer that question, well, then take it from there, wouldn't you say?
I would. If you answer that question, it's going to change your life. When we talk about turning around, I know some of you may be confused. And what does that mean? How do I turn around? And some of you may start spinning in circles and saying this stuff doesn't work. That's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about turning around, there's a term called repentance, a radical change of mind. Turning around is simply that, changing your mind and deciding to do something different. Would you agree?
That's it. You're told, change your mind, change your world. I mean, change your mind, change your world. Are you looking to change your world? Well, what are you doing to change your mind? Are you thinking feelingly about what you desire, or are you thinking feelingly about what you don't want? Something in the future that you're concerned about, then you definitely need to be concerned about it if you're concerned about it. That's the way it works. What has your attention has your life. If you want, and it all happens on automatic. I know I get told about that, saying it's all on automatic, but God put it all on automatic. There's no punishment. There really isn't. That's in your own mind. See, you have to understand that the people who wrote the scripture were men who were influenced by God to do so, but they also had a bringing up through the years of being children and adults and so on and so on. And then writing these things down, they did at certain times put in attitudes that they held. So we're told to look out for these things, that they give you the wrong impression. In other words, it's like the mistake that I made saying "and." You see, it says change your mind and it doesn't say "and." It just says change your mind, change your world. Changing your mind does change your world. It's not asking you to go out and start making things happen. It's telling you just to stand on the idea that you have selected, and let standing on the idea that you have selected guide you. And it will do so if you're faithful to stick with it. That's the only problem people have. Many start out with fantastic feeling ideas, but they don't follow through. You see, you have to follow through. You have to show that you're really worthy of giving the all-out effort in what you're doing, because you're told to do so. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report. Now, who does that? I mean, really, who does that? I mean, but the more so is the better so, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I appreciate that you said that. Who does that? A lot of times when we're listening to teachers, people will give you the impression that they have all this stuff down and they're doing everything right. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to let you know that we're just like you, and nobody can think lovely and of good report all the time. And those who are telling you that they can, they're lying to you. But as Mr. Lindell stated, more is better. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, that's the same thing as what we're sharing with them about aware. Nobody's aware all the time, but more is better. I mean, when you say that's it,
I would say.
I mean, that's all there is to it. It's just be more aware of what you're allowing yourself to talk to yourself about, to suggest to yourself about, because you think nobody hears that, but nobody needs to hear that. You're the one hears it because you're saying it. And believe me, the one who said he's with you always hears it also and makes your world in accordance to what you're saying. But he's not understanding that you're not paying attention because he gave you choose this day. And you are doing so, aware or unaware. We're just saying aware is better. And I think that's obvious. But attitude awareness and imaginational control is what everyone is looking for. And if you would practice attitude awareness and imaginational control, you would see yourself just swimming in the benefits of it if you would do so consistently, persistently, as you can. I know you're not paying attention all the time. I'm fully aware of that, but trying to do it myself. But you can do this. That's the point here is that no matter how difficult it seems when you start, every day that you actually move in and think from better than the best, that's a day that you can mark down as success. And you can get all kinds of successes doing exactly that. And when you see yourself progressing in that manner, you'll continue to do so. But it takes a time to actually formulate that exact idea down the line. Can you say?
I would say, and you said that when you're thinking in your quiet place and you think that you're alone, he who has given you power to think hears what you're saying. And I want to add this, but what he's not doing, as so many religious leaders and people will tell you, is judging you. It goes back to what Mr. Lindell will quote quite often. All condemnation is self-condemnation. It's not that God is condemning you, so we have to understand that any judgment that we have in our life, it's self-imposed. Would you agree?
That's it. As you judge, you're judged. That's it. You're judging yourself when you're judging other people. So all denial is self-denial. You're denying yourself the things you want because you won't accept them. They're already offered. When you get a glimpse of what is offered to you at no expense whatsoever, because it's you thinking feelingly in yourself that brings these things about to you in all your future. All your future. They're bringing about all the things that you're thinking about, and you're taking them into your future with you. So why not make them lovely and of good report? I mean, that's a very wise statement said right there. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report, and as you think, you are. That, to me, that kind of seals itself together, doesn't it?
And it does. And that's very powerful if we can take hold of it, because we're given to choose. Would you agree?
Yeah, let me tell you something. All you can really do is not take control. That's all you can do, is not take control until you take control. Right now, you may be out of control completely. I know that I was. I thought I was thinking, but I wasn't really thinking, because what I was thinking was not adding to my life what I wanted, but what I don't want. So when I started adding in my own conversations that I have this and I have that and this is working and that's taking, it's complete recovery from all your disasters if you will focus on the fact that as you think you are, and that starts right at this moment. If you change your mind right now and stick with what the change is, hopefully it's what you desire, and then if you'll stick with it, you'll see it be a benefit in your world. Because that's not Lindell saying that, and that's not DeCarlo saying that. That's God printed that out for you in the scriptures. You turn to me, I'll turn to you. And the turning, since you're all three together there, as Jesus said, I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one, since you're all together there, he hears everything you're saying. And he's making your world in exact accordance because he gave subconscious mind to build your world as you think you are, you do, you have, you be. That's the story, isn't it?
It is a story. You said the turning, since you're all three together. And what came to mind was, since you're all three together, the turning is one turning, as you often say. It's just a single turning. And that turning, as we stated earlier, is simply changing your mind. Would you agree?
That's it. Change your mind, change your world. Because your world is your mind. That's what you're being told. Your mind. Your world is what your mind is made up of, and your mind is made up of, well, what is it made up of? I mean, do you know? I thought I did, but I didn't. But I had a lot of nonsense in there that needed to be taken out with big shovels. but realize, sometimes, and it's the same thing with prejudices. You're prejudiced against things that you don't even know anything about. Well, why? Well, because some friend is prejudiced some. See, you get caught up in the world like that. And you're told not to be of the world, to be self, in self, and risen. And you're given to rise up. You're told, seek and you shall find. Well, if you're seeking something and you find it, well, that's usually an uplift, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, then just keep lifting yourself up, because that's what you're training the mind. You're training your mindsets, because understand that mindsets operate automatically. And you have no choice over what they do. When a situation comes up, they jump right in, and they do so automatically and persistently. Just telling you to be persistent, to be consistent. Just like DeCarlo says, go to the end. What is it that you're seeking? Go to the end of that. In other words, you now have it. It's now you. It's now being your benefit. What are you thinking of doing it? See, do a thing and you shall have the power. Keep doing it, being it, seeing it now. This is the appointed hour. You're told choose this day, and it's always this day. So every day you have a chance to change what went wrong yesterday into positive today. You always are in control. Just stand up and take control, wouldn't you say?
I would. You said something earlier, and you said, I had to evaluate my life because I had to look at all the things that I was doing that was not adding to my life, and I had to let those things go. And it goes back to everything that we're talking about today, in ordering your conversations. We have to be mindful of what it is that we're giving our attention to. Mr. Lindell just said a moment ago, once you're on track, just keep doing it. And even if you get off track, get back on track as soon as possible. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's it. When you actually see how much time you waste, that is doing things that give you no benefit, if you just take that time and put it into an investment in yourself, and that's what people need to do. They need to invest in themselves. In other words, when you're told to be in the world, but not to be of the world, that means don't invest in the world, invest in yourself. Because that's the one that brings you the benefits, investing in yourself. Investing in the world, that's already finished. That's creation's finished. And it's being added to every time you think a thought. But is it being added as you would love to have it or not? That's the question, isn't it?
It is. And I love that you brought up investing in oneself. That's anybody that you see anything doing what we consider great in the world are people who had taken the time and invested in themselves to make themselves better. And of course, as a byproduct, they made the world better. And as a byproduct, the world compensated them for it. Would you agree?
That's it. That's how it works. It's very simple, very, very simple. But you see, the thing of it is that what keeps you from using that is that you're also conditioned to the world. And, you know, being raised, family and friends and neighbors and enemies. All of those people have a say in your life. But that's what it means when you're here as a director. You're director of your thinking and feeling. If you choose not to think that, but think what it is that you're looking for, because what you are looking for is looking for you, even if it is the negative. So be aware that you're on all the time. And I mean all the time. You're on. As you think you are is always on. So don't play with that one. Really take it serious, wouldn't you say?
I would say, you know, and it's fun. I was just, as you were speaking and as your wisdom was pouring forth, I thought to myself, you know, just when I think that these talks can't get any better, they get better. I just really appreciate, and I know the listeners appreciate what's coming forth. And so when we go back to ordering your conversations as you think you are, I hope that you meditate upon what's being said, because if you do, I promise you, if you do it, it's going to transform your life. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened to me. I did that, and I was told to do that, and I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off. But finally, one day I did do it, and the results that I got from doing it were encouraging. And what I needed to do was to do more of what I was doing, that I got what encouraged me. And no, it's not a game. It's not something taking a chance with. It's your life. It is your life, and it is with you. And what is with you? Life. And what is life? God is all life. So He's with you, and if He's with you, He's taking care of everything that you allow, because as you stack up the evidence for it being so, makes it so. Would you say?
I would say, and it does become easier and easier as we begin to take a step in the right direction. It's funny that you spoke about that, because the other day I had committed to myself that I was going to work out 3 times a week. And so I got on like the last day of the week, which for me was Saturday, and I was kind of battling. And I said, you know what? I've made a commitment to myself to work out 3 times a week, so it's not an option. And I did it. And this is the attitude that we have to take on. It can't, if you desire to be successful, for example, it can't be an option. It can't be, well, you know, if things don't work out that way, then I just won't. It has to be a no-so, a doing so. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this. When you look into the things that do happen to you while you're doing this, you'll find that they are always in some action to what you're thinking. So you're given a route to follow, because your thinking upon draws to you what you're thinking upon. So if you're being serious and being still and actually feeling after better than the best, that's what you'll find, because you're told to seek and you shall find. If you're seeking better, then you'll find better. Attitude, attitude, attitude. Imagine, imagine, imagine. That was Montaigne's statement to everybody. Imagine different, to have the different. What else would you imagine? You see, but people don't realize that they're imagining all the monsters they're dreaming up and that they're experiencing. It's not anyone else dreaming it up. They're dreaming it up. It's what they think is their world, what other people think is their world. Take charge of your own inner conversations, because attitude awareness and imaginational control is what everyone is looking for, and it's right with you.
You were talking about people dreaming up monsters, and some people would tell you, you know, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just realistic. So it's not that I'm dreaming up monsters. This is just how life works. And what life says to you is be it unto you according to your faith. Would you agree?
You're told to have faith. Do you have faith? If you have faith, then whatever you need is yours. If you don't, well, then you don't have it. It's really that simple. But it's offered. Everything is offered. God is not withholding anything from you. All denial is self-denial. So stop denying yourself and start taking what is actually yours. He gave it to you. Worshiping God is using his gifts. Just look at all the gifts that you have already. You see, people are always worried about what they don't have. Why not spend a little more time being thankful for what you do have, wouldn't you say?
I would say. I think that was beautifully said, because I think that we don't have enough gratitude in our lives. And I think we miss what's available to us because, like you stated just a moment ago, we're so focused on the things that we perceive not having. And the truth is, we have it all. We just haven't opened up our imagination to receive it. Would you agree?
That's it. All you have to do is keep this in mind. What has your attention has your life. Is what you're thinking about beneficial? Keep it. If it's not, drop it. If you keep it that simple, you'll remember it. And it's what you remember is what you do. Isn't that it?
That's exactly right. That's it. What you remember, you do. And what you fail to remember, you don't.
That's it. That's it. So you're in charge all the time. But understand, you're on all the time. You're always on. You're always putting out into your world of experiencing the world that I called secondhand land, because everything on the without is secondhand. If it's here that you can see it and I can see it and we talk about it, that means that it's already materialized, but it all started with the imagination. Everything had to first be imagined. And the fact that it goes away tells you that this is a temporary existence. It's just temporary. Everything here goes away. It's only new as idea. Then it's manufactured and then it goes away. That shows you that everything in your world is an imaginal activity that you put in the play. What are you dreaming up in your play? What are you thinking feelingly about in those moments when you're just letting your mind run wild? Because that's what it does if you allow it. And you are allowing it, if it is. That's what it is. You're either paying attention or you're not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, then that makes you vulnerable.
You say that it's only new as ideal. I said earlier that all creation has been finished. So when Mr. Lindell says that it's only new as ideal, it already existed. So it may be a new ideal to you, but in God's reality, it already exists, correct?
Yes. In other words, the moment you thought it, whether you intended to follow it or not, the moment you thought it, it was existing. See, that's what it is. It's all you're thinking up, you're feeling after what? Because that's what you're building in your world of experiencing. But it only goes as far as you go with it, as it has your attention. Because what has your attention has your life and is the life of the idea that you're thinking of. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me. And I like that you say, it only goes as far as you go with it. In other words, as he stated, as long as you're giving your attention to it, it remains. The second you shift your attention, it starts to die away. Would you agree?
That's it. That's what you said. That's where all those beautiful that you thought about went away. They just went away because they lost your attention. See, your attention is the life of whatever you're paying attention to. Come on. That's what the whole thing is paying attention. What are you paying attention to? Because that's what you're experiencing. That's your everydayness. That's how you live your life. What are you paying attention to? If you choose what's lovely and of good report, well, that's what you'll experience. But if you get caught up in all of that anger management or whatever, understand this is a psychological drama. And Scripture states that plainly when it tells you that your world is coming through you. It is as within, so without. So it is a psychological drama because it's as you think you are. And that's the story. Just think differently, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and speaking of this psychological drama, I like to say that the Bible is the greatest book of psychology, spirituality, metaphysics, whatever you can think of. When you're talking about the mind, when you're thinking about the thinking, feeling, being man, Scripture is the blueprint. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's right. And if we're not enjoying life, then we ain't following the blueprint. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely right. And again, as those who may not be Christians, what we're not talking about is religion. But when you want to understand how mind works, when you talk about personifications, when you talk about different states, it's in there. It's like ragu. The commercial used to say about ragu. It's in there.
That's it. It's with you always. And it's always yours. But you have to claim it. You have an inheritance, but you have to claim it. And that's exactly like the guys looking for gold. You see, they know it's out there. They just don't know where it is, but they know it's out there. And so that's what drives them. And because they stick with it, they find it, right?
I love it. See, he was actually giving us a parable here. Gold is your desire. If you have a desire for something, Mr. Lindell talked about earlier, people perish without a dream or a vision. You have a desire. The desire in you is God letting you know that it's doable. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. And if God even mentions it, then it's doable. I mean, come on. Attitude, awareness, and imaginational control. All the great minds down through the centuries have said, life is man's attitude. That's it. And you can use imagination to direct your attitudes correctly. That's where we do our work. In the mind of imagination, the theater of mind, you're doing your work because anything said in that time when you're alone, thinking, feelingly, contemplating, meditating, everything that's said is being shoved into your future. It isn't falling into the past. So it's right now you start. If you're straining it at all, then you're doing it wrong. You're given the opportunity to just stroll through. But you can hit all the bumps and scrapes and bangs and whatever that you can handle. But it's you denying yourself if you feel denied. Believe it, it's not God's denial, it's our own denial. Blessed is the man that does not condemn himself for that which he has allowed. So right there, you're given forgiveness. But will you accept it? See, that's the question, isn't it?
That is the question.
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. Metaphysicalarttheater.com.
So as we're winding down, ordering our Conversation Aright, what would you say to the listener?
Yeah, if you're looking for salvation, that's the way to do it. Just ordering your conversations right. That's it. And that's what you're told to do. And you're told that if you do it, you will experience the benefits of doing so. Why wouldn't you do so? See, that's that waiting. I never knew what I was waiting for, but I was faithfully waiting, and I got exactly what I felt that I was waiting, and so I got more waiting. But move in and think from. Yeah. Yeah, it is laughable, isn't it? Get your act together, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sir, well, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has. Okay, guy.
Take care.
Talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye. You too.